I was 19 when my mother decided to rewrite our family like it was a bad first draft. She sat me down at the kitchen table that smelled of her new lavender candles, the ones Dad always hated because they gave him migraines, and slid a framed photo across the wood. In it, Victor loomed behind her, his arm possessive around her waist, smiling like a man who'd already won. "Call him Dad, Alex," she said. Her voice was soft, almost pleading, but her eyes were steel. "Your real father left us. He's nothing but a ghost now. Victor's here. He's stepping up." Victor stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching me with those pale, unblinking eyes. He was tall, broad-shouldered, the kind of man who filled a room with quiet menace rather than noise. His smile never reached those eyes. "It's okay, son. We'll ease into it, but family needs structure." I wanted to vomit. Instead, I nodded once, mumbled something noncommittal, and excused myself to study. The moment my bedroom door clicked shut, I pulled out the burner phone hidden inside an old gaming console. One text, 3 words. "She's pushing harder." The reply came within seconds. "Hold the line. I'm close. Love you, kid." My real dad, Richard, the man she'd spent 4 years erasing. The betrayal hadn't happened overnight. When I was 15, the divorce had detonated like a bomb. Mom filed first, claiming years of emotional abuse, controlling behavior, even implied violence. She got the house, primary custody, and a restraining order that supposedly kept him away. She burned his clothes in the backyard while I watched from my window, flames licking at dress shirts I used to steal because they smelled like safety. She told me, tears streaming, that he had cheated, that he had hit her once, that he never really loved us. I believed her for 8 months. Then one night, I found an old email account he'd set up for me years earlier, before everything went nuclear. A single message waiting. "I never stopped fighting for you. If you see this, I'm here. Always." We built the secret world slowly. Burner phones, coded messages, rare, heart-pounding meetings at a rundown diner 2 towns over where the waitress knew to seat us in the back. He showed me documents, bank records, screenshots. The truth was uglier than her lies. Mom had been having an affair with Victor for over a year before the divorce. Victor helped her manufacture the abuse claims. They paid a witness. They forged therapy notes. They wanted the house, the savings, the life insurance policy Dad had taken out years ago that named her beneficiary. Dad had been gathering evidence ever since. Quietly, patiently, like a man who understood that revenge isn't a scream, it's a scalpel. But Mom thought she had won completely. She thought she could install Victor like new software and delete the old file. She was wrong. The first time she forced the word out of me was at a family dinner 2 weeks later. Victor had cooked steak, expensive wine, the whole performance. He wore an apron that said "World's Greatest Dad." The irony made my skin crawl. Mom set the table with our old wedding china, the one with the tiny blue flowers. When I sat down, Victor placed a hand on my shoulder. Heavy, possessive. His fingers dug in just enough to send a message. "How is school, son?" I stared at my plate. The silence stretched until it screamed. "Alex," Mom snapped. "Victor asked you a question. Answer your father." The word landed like a slap. My real father was sitting in a motel 30 miles away right now, reviewing police reports on Victor's past. I knew things Mom didn't. 2 prior domestic violence complaints from an ex-girlfriend. A fraud investigation in another state that mysteriously disappeared when witnesses recanted. A sealed juvenile record involving arson. I forced the word out through clenched teeth. "Fine, Dad." Victor's smile widened. Mom beamed like I just graduated summa cum laude. Under the table, my left hand trembled so badly, I had to pin it between my knees. That night I met Dad in the parking lot behind an abandoned Blockbuster. Rain hammered the roof of his old truck. He looked thinner than last time, eyes hollowed by years of legal battles and hidden rage, but there was fire in them. "He's escalating," I said, handing over a USB drive. I copied files from Mom's laptop while she was at yoga. "Victor's been moving money. There's a new life insurance policy on her. Huge payout. And look at the beneficiary." Dad plugged it in. His jaw tightened as the documents scrolled past.
Me.
He listed me as the fall guy if anything happens to her. Classic. The plan had been forming for months. We wouldn't just expose them. We would dismantle them. Victor had a weakness. Arrogance. He believed he was untouchable. Mom's weakness was worse. She had convinced herself that the new life was perfect, that Victor was her savior. The fall would be catastrophic. Suspense built like a tightening wire over the next month. Victor started installing cameras for security. He watched the footage obsessively. Twice I nearly got caught on calls with Dad. Once, Victor cornered me in the garage while I was pretending to look for tools. "You think I don't see you, kid?" His voice was low, almost gentle. "That little rebellious streak. Your mother says you've always been difficult. But I'm patient. Families have to break the wild ones in." His hand landed on my neck. Not choking, just resting there. A promise. I smiled the way Dad taught me, cold, empty. "Yes, Dad." He let me go, but the look in his eyes said the clock was running out. Mom's betrayal cut deepest during a screaming match 3 nights later. I'd slipped up, left the burner phone charging under my bed. She found it. The confrontation happened in the living room. Victor stood behind her like her enforcer. She held the phone up like evidence of treason. "You've been talking to him?" Her voice cracked with something between rage and heartbreak. "After everything he did to us? After he abandoned you?" "He didn't abandon me," I said quietly. "You lied. About all of it." Victor stepped forward. "Watch your tone with your mother, boy." "She's not my mother anymore," I said. The words tasted like iron. "Not after she chose you." The slap came fast. Mom's hand left a burning print on my cheek. "Victor is your father now. The old one is dead to this family. If you contact him again, I'll have you committed. I'll tell them you're delusional, violent, just like him." Victor smiled behind her. That was the moment the last thread of love I felt for her snapped. Not with anger, with ice. I nodded. "I understand, Mom." That night, I climbed out my window and met Dad at the emergency rendezvous point, an all-night truck stop. I was shaking. He hugged me hard, the way he used to when I was small and had nightmares. "It's time," he said. We had everything. Hidden recordings from the cameras Victor himself installed. Ironic, really. Dad had tapped the feed weeks ago. We had financial trails showing Victor siphoning money into offshore accounts. We had testimony from his first wife, who finally agreed to speak after Dad tracked her to another state. Most damning, a recorded confession. Victor liked to drink after Mom went to bed. He liked to talk to the mirror in the hallway, practicing the calm, reasonable voice he used on everyone else. One night he'd said too much while I recorded from the vents. "Once the policy pays out, we disappear. The kid will be easy to break. Laura's too stupid to see it coming. Richard will take the fall. He's already painted as the monster." We had it all. The trap was set for the following Saturday. Mom and Victor were throwing an official family integration party. Relatives, neighbors, her new church friends. Victor wanted to parade his shiny new family. We made sure the guest list included a few surprises. The night arrived wrapped in tension, so thick I could barely breathe. I wore the collared shirt Victor had bought me, the one that felt like a collar in more ways than one. Mom was radiant in a new red dress, hanging on Victor's arm like a trophy. He kept touching her possessively, calling me son in front of everyone. Each time, the word carved another piece out of me. At 8:17 p.m., Dad walked through the front door. The room went dead silent. Victor's face drained of color. Mom dropped her wine glass. It shattered across the hardwood like a starter pistol. Richard stood there in a dark suit, holding a thick folder. He looked every inch the man they had tried to destroy. Taller, calmer, more dangerous than they remembered. "Laura," he said, voice carrying across the room. "Victor, nice party." Victor moved first. He grabbed a carving knife from the buffet table and lunged, not at Dad, at me. The betrayal had finally cracked his mask. In front of 30 witnesses, the real Victor emerged, eyes wild, teeth bared. "You little shit." I'd been waiting for it. I sidestepped the way Dad taught me during those secret meetings. The knife buried itself in the wall. Victor roared and swung again. Chaos erupted. People screamed. Someone called the police.
Dad didn't fight fair.
He didn't need to. He simply pressed play on the Bluetooth speaker he'd brought. Victor's own voice filled the room, cold and calculating, confessing every sin. The recording played for 43 seconds before Victor screamed and charged again. This time, Dad met him. The fight was brutal, short. Years of suppressed rage met practiced violence. Dad took a cut to the arm but landed 3 punches that dropped Victor to his knees. By the time the police arrived, the folder had been passed around. Financial crimes.
Perjury.
Conspiracy to commit murder for insurance money. The recordings. The witnesses waiting outside. Victor was arrested in handcuffs, blood on his shirt, screaming that we had framed him. Mom stood in the middle of the wreckage of her perfect party, mascara running, staring at the man she had chosen over everything. She looked at me last. Alex,
I didn't know.
I swear I didn't. You knew enough, I said. My voice didn't shake. You just didn't care. The revenge wasn't loud fireworks. It was quiet, devastating paperwork. Victor was denied bail. The DA loved the recordings. Mom's name got dragged into the mud. Civil suits, loss of a house, social exile. The false abuse claims unraveled publicly. Dad's name was cleared completely. 6 months later, I sat with my real father on the porch of a small house we rented together near the coast. The restraining order was gone. The lies were ash. Mom had tried to call exactly 17 times. I never answered. She sent one letter that I read only once. I thought I was protecting us. I thought Victor was our future. I'm sorry for making you call him Dad. Please forgive me. I burned it in the fire pit while Dad watched. The flames looked cleaner than the ones that had consumed his clothes years ago. Some betrayals are too deep for forgiveness. Some replacements leave permanent scars. But the bond one kept secret, the one she never managed to sever, proved stronger than her delusions. Victor got 22 years. Mom got to live with the knowledge that her son chose the father she tried to erase. Every time she looks at old photos, she'll see the empty space where we used to be. I still have the burner phone. It sits in a drawer now, charged but silent. Sometimes at night, I take it out and read the old messages. The last one Dad sent before everything exploded still makes my throat tight. Whatever happens, you were never alone. We finished this together.
We did.
And the man who tried to replace my father learned the hardest truth of all. Some shadows refuse to be erased. They wait. They watch. And when the moment comes, they strike back with the cold precision of a son who never forgot where his real loyalty lay.